The European Union is facing tension between countries as states are said to be stealing PPE and ventilators from each other, according to George Galloway. EU member states faced a shortage of medical supplies at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, as George Galloway has exposed the infighting inside the bloc over the past few months. He launched a scathing attack on the EU for leaving countries without PPE and explained they are far from a union. The former Labour MP accused Brussels' leadership of a catastrophe with no intention of sharing the financial burden. Speaking to Express, Mr. Galloway said, "I think it's been a catastrophe all around, but for the EU in particular, it has devastated the EU's standing in the worst affected countries. The U in EU is a misnomer. It's ferrets in a sack. No one is standing with anyone else. In fact, members of the EU are stealing, like thieves, the medical material and ventilators destined for other EU countries. Of course they have no intention of sharing the financial burden fairly across the membership of the EU." His comments come as the EU executive will ask member states to allocate new sources of revenue to the EU's long-term budget to help finance an economic recovery after the coronavirus pandemic, its head said on Wednesday. In a draft resolution, to be voted on later this week, the European Parliament had threatened to withhold its approval for the upcoming 7-year EU spending plan unless governments dedicate new tax streams to it. The EU does not have the power to impose taxes, but governments can agree to permanently allocate some of their revenue streams to the EU, as they have with customs duties and sugar levies and a slice of national value-added tax. These revenues, along with national contributions, are called own resources and make up the trillion-dollar 7-year EU budget, the Multi-Annual Financial Framework (MFF). The MFF finances EU policies to equalize living standards across the 27-nation bloc as well as the EU's agriculture policy, investment in research, development and education, and the projection of the bloc's soft power around the globe through development and aid programs. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will present a new proposal for the 2021–2027 budget on May 20, together with a plan for a recovery fund to help the EU restart its economy after what is set to be its deepest ever recession this year. Together with our next MFF, the recovery plan will be the ambitious answer Europe needs. An answer that will include new own resources that we need in our budget, she told Parliament. The new resources are needed because money for the recovery is to be borrowed by the Commission on the market using its AAA rating to ensure the lowest borrowing cost.